Why you should not change your strings on your guitars. Typically in metal music and most music, you want your guitar strings to be fresh, new, punchy, and bright. But sometimes the best production move is to use worn-in strings to get a particular sound that might give you more of a raw feeling. So I actually tracked an entire song this way, with dead strings that is. And it actually works. And I'm gonna show you how and why that works. But ultimately, you need to understand that it's a production move. New strings versus old strings is not a right or wrong answer. It's a, does it work for the song or not? And this particular song, Iniquity, which is an original of mine, which is yet to be released next month, October-ish. Subscribe and stick around to be able to see when this thing drops. But the goal of this song was to have really nasty guitar and bass tone source tones to just sound like almost on the verge of bad, but like not bad, just raw and like really woolly in a particular way, but then mix it to be so pristine. So the drums, super cutting, super pristine. You'll hear the mix if you haven't already. It's really pristine. That was kind of the dichotomy I'm trying to get, you know, with this song. And I think you're really gonna hear the benefit of having worn-in guitar strings and why that is a benefit for this particular song. So what does that actually sound like? This is the session for Iniquity. This is the song. I'm gonna do another video about another cardinal sin that I did in this song that you should never do, but I did it anyway, in testament against myself. Anyway, you can see that this is basically a production session, because it was. Look, you can see my guitar edits and Iniquity 11 hashtag 12.14, it's a mess, right? However, we're here to focus on the guitar tones, and you're gonna see here that I have two sets of tones. I have a main rhythm tone, and then I have a low gain tone blended in. You can see here with the fader levels that is blended, and that goes here to, you know, guitar bus. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and listen to just the DI again. It's a guitar DI. It's not a perfectly edited DI, and I didn't want it to be. I actually edited it kind of sloppily because I wanted it to, again, the raw feeling. I wanted that. I wanted this to feel like some dude just like oonga boonga'd some progressive music. But when you listen to this DI, it's not overly squeaky clean and, you know, overly punchy. It has brightness. It's not like, it's not dead. It's not, I wouldn't even say that it's dull, but they're worn in. These guitar strings are definitely worn in. They're not pristine and brand new. They're not crusty and dusty, but they're not brand new. Now, let's go ahead and listen to the bass DI again in this same section. You listen to the bass DI, obviously I'm hitting the magnets here. And for the way I you know, made this tone, it works. Whenever I'm doing the taka slaps, adds to the raw feeling. But you listen to the bass tone with the actual tone. It's grindy and it's gross, but it works so good. Let's go to another section with the Oonga Boonga chugs. Oh. That's the nast, bro. We want the nast. It's gross. And you can't get this with fresh guitar strings. Part of this tone has to do with how we're blending it. And, you know, if I just solo the main rhythm tone here for you to be able to hear how the actual plugins are interacting with the DI, because that's the key point here. You can't just have, you know, dead guitar strings and throw up, you know, your favorite amp sim preset that you have and be like, oh, it doesn't sound like how it needs to. You gotta do some things and dial in the tone appropriately. So that's what we did here. If you like these deep dives, there's a YouTube membership that you can join for, I think it's like $9.99 a month. Anyway, you can join that if you like this nerdy, you know, nitty gritty stuff. The tone is basic. I'm using STL tones and I am doing an amp and cab blend here. And I guess I'm biasing it more towards, I believe this is the diesel. What happens if I bypass the diesel on these? I'm curious. Interesting. Yeah, so our diesel is the scoopy tone, almost sounds like a slam tone. And then you have like this mid-range growl from, I think this is a Bogner. The more I look at it, maybe it's not a Bogner. Yeah, someone's gonna roast me. Anyway, obviously the cabs have a big part to play with this thing, but the tone is basic. It's very basic. I have a distortion pedal, and then it's getting split off into 2 amps and it's getting blended over here at the end. And that's my main rhythm tone. That's not the full thing because we have this little low gain tone down here. I'm trying to basically leverage the byproduct of not having clean guitar strings, and that's what this low gain tone is. It's like, hey, the little, you know, nasty qualities that we get when you have like a low gain tone with strings that aren't, you know, exciting the amp in the upper, you know, mid range as much with that brightness. That's what this tone is. That borderline just sounds terrible, but it's a big part of making this tone connect. I'm gonna take it out. Like that's that nasty mid-range snarl. That's what ties this whole thing together for like the actual guitar tones. And again, very simple. I'm using the archetype of Bossy here, and I'm actually just using the clean amp, and I think it sounds like I'm using the distortion pedal going into the clean amp. That's all I'm doing on that. Right here on the guitar bus, I mean, I could probably get rid of these plugins and show you what it sounds like. So that's not changing like the actual fundamental solid meat of the tone. It's really just kind of like tightening things up a little bit. So that wasn't make or break. Sometimes my tones can kind of be make or break on the guitar bus. This was not one of those cases. But hopefully you're able to clearly see how those basically dead, gross guitar DIs end up allowing the way that these tones were crafted and blended together to basically create a harmony that you really wouldn't be able to get otherwise. Because the gain that you're getting on this, if you put fresh guitar strings with this, it would be too much. It'd be harsh. It would be, you know, really brittle. There's like almost a slight roll-off that you're getting now by having worn-in guitar strings when you're pushing tones into, you know, this Chewbacca territory, I guess. Because another thing, I tracked this with single coils. That's the sound and the tone of a single coil. So bear that in mind. That's not a humbucker. That's another choice on why I went with those, you know, worn-in guitar strings. You take worn-in guitar strings, which is dull. You take single coil, which is bright. You combine them together, and the attributes that are negative of both of them kind of cancel out. So what you get is, you know, something that's unique. This is a pretty unique guitar tone, and I think it works really well for the song. Moving back onto bass and dissecting that a little bit more. Right now, the tone is, I'm shaping the DI. I'm bringing up some shimmer on Revival. I say some, it's actually a lot. My guitar amp, just to show you what's happening here, the guitar amp that I'm using is Waves GTR, which if you know, Waves guitar for bass is goated. It's terrible for guitar. Wonderful for bass. It's so good. Anyway, I have virtual mix rack first, and then I have, you know, your classic Sans amp, and then I have a compressor, the Dan Corniff Pawn Shop Comp, And then I have another compressor, which this one kind of, I guess, acts a little bit like a bass tone-ish in a way. And then after Waves guitar, it's finally going into the STL tones, and I'm using the cab that's on there. After that, we're doing a little bit of Saturn, shaping the mid-range, and this crazy EQ. I know this looks ridiculous, but obviously I can break down exactly why. I'll just bypass it and you'll hear why. So I didn't have Soothe. Obviously I'm using Pro Q1 in this session on this. So I'm doing what people are relying on Soothe to do. Congrats, this is what it looks like. Getting rid of the overtone series that's here because it's really bad, getting rid of some of the fizz, boosting some of the lows, the low sub information that we need, and then there's a buildup that's here. I mean, honestly, it's pretty standard. It looks scary, but it is really standard, and when I did the bypass and engage, you can hear the cleanup. But the way that I'm treating the DI for this, in lieu of it being rougher guitar string, worn-in, duller strings, whatever you want to call it, it calls for a different type of tone shaping. Now, all of this is good and dandy, but this is not an excuse for you to be lazy and not change your guitar strings. Don't be that guy. Please don't be that guy. If I was recording this song and it was supposed to feel like a Periphery record, I'm putting new strings on it. This is like if you were to put like some slammy deathcore, but then also you love gent, so you don't want to run away from it. I mean, look at, get a load of this bridge. Anyway, treat this like a production tool. Look at your strings and how they interact with your tone and your song and what you want to communicate with your song in the correct light. Be creative about it. Don't just be lazy, and don't just justify something because like, oh, I don't want to change my strings. If the song needs it, just spend the $7 to $10 on, your strings, and then maybe program bass because it's like $30 for a pack of bass strings. I kid, also not really. But if you enjoy this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I have a book. I'll put that somewhere. You can pre-order that in the description. I'll have that there for you. But if you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate you. And, I hope to see you around more on this channel. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.